Well, Florida parted ways with two coaches yesterday, which proves something that we all wondered about Billy Napier. We'll get to that in just a minute, but there's also some concern about the timing of the firings, and we're going to discuss that as well. So let's get right into it. Yesterday, the University of Florida announced that defensive backs coach Corey Raymond, yes, that same Corey Raymond who took over the safeties this year, we were so excited for him to coach both safeties and cornerbacks. He has been given his walking papers, as well as defensive line coach Sean Spencer. Coach Chaos has been involved in a lot of recruitments this year, so that's interesting on that front as well. We'll get into it. Defensive line and defensive back play were some of the worst on the field this year. Florida's defense as a whole was not good. I know a lot of people think that it actually got worse as the season went on. I don't know that I think that's a fair assessment because the schedule also got harder as the year went on. But I definitely think it's fair to say this team didn't show improvement as the season went on. And you're looking at a defense that continually made the same errors game after game over the course of the entire season, including not being able to make a tackle, not being able to get pressure up the middle, not having very many sacks, definitely not being great at takeaways. Florida's defense wasn't good. These two units in particular were not good. I'm a little bit surprised that we parted ways with Corey Raymond because I would be interested to see how he did developmentally with his guys when Florida had a defensive line that was able to provide some pressure. It's a lot harder to play DB when you are having to run with your man for 5 or 6 seconds because they're not held up at the line at all. So I would have been interested to see how that worked out. But if you look at this unit over the course of Napier's 2 years, they haven't been good. They haven't developed. So, I can understand wanting and needing to make a move. Same thing with defensive line. I think this was a group that we heard so much about this offseason. So many of us were so excited to see what this D-line room could do. One of the most celebrated in the offseason. And I just think they underperformed. So not a huge surprise here as well. The thing that was a little bit of a surprise here for me is the timing of this. It's really, really early. The season just happened. Early signing day is just a couple of weeks away. If this happens after early signing day, it doesn't impact the class much at all. Happening before early signing day leaves the opportunity for guys to go elsewhere. Is that going to happen? I don't know. A few of our commits for the 2024 class took to social media to tell fans, don't worry, we are locked in. Xavier Filsamy, LJ McCray, DJ Lagway, they were all on Instagram Live talking about the fact that they are 100% committed, that they understand that this is a business and Coach Napier is doing what he thinks is in the best interest of the program, the long-term health of his tenure at UF. And that's really, really encouraging to hear. You want recruits to understand the process and to know why decisions are being made, to accept them, to understand them, and truly to commit to a program, not an individual coach. All right, we'll get right to it, but I wanted to tell you for a second about my favorite holiday tradition. Every single year for the past over 25 years, probably close to 30 years, my family has donated sports balls to Metropolitan Ministries. We go to Dick's Sporting Goods, or it used to be Sports Authority, and buy as many basketballs, footballs, soccer balls that we possibly can. We drop them off at Metropolitan Ministries because my dad has always said that if you give a child a sports ball, you can occupy an entire community. So I am giving the opportunity to you guys to help me out in this endeavor. The more of you that participate, the more sports balls we can give to kids in the community that really, really could use some smiles this holiday season. If you want to participate, you are more than welcome to Venmo me. My Venmo is at Eric, ERIC -Wilbur -2, the number 2. And if you just put in the comments what it's going towards, we will make sure that as many sports balls as possible are purchased this holiday season. They'll go to Metropolitan Ministries. Kids in the community will immediately benefit from them. I appreciate you for participating in my favorite holiday tradition. But, there could still be movement. I have been hearing for weeks at this point that Amaris Williams will not be a part of this class. I'm doubting he's stuck either way, regardless, but this probably affects that in some way. We'll see. There's still a couple weeks to go and a lot of things can change. And you know that this piece of information is absolutely going to be used as negative recruiting tool for our rivals. Will they be successful? I don't know. This happened so early that it did make me think potentially they know who they've got coming in, that there was people in mind, that they were targeting them, so they wanted to make moves early. If that's the case, you would think we would know relatively soon, right? If we don't hear for weeks on end, then they just made a decision, probably because Napier felt he really needed to do something to show the administration, to show the university, the fans, that he understood changes needed to be made. He understood the on-the-field product wasn't good. Now, the positive of all of this is that's great news on Napier's part. He's not afraid to make moves. And that's a great, great thing. Now, timing, we're going to see if that ended up being a positive or a negative for UF. I'm hoping that there's just replacements waiting in the wings and we didn't put ourselves in a disadvantage heading into early signing day. But we shall see. Now, are there more changes on the horizon? I certainly hope that that is the case. I have been hearing for weeks that we can expect a change at offensive line. Nothing definitive, but I think that's an area that Florida really, really needs to look at. You've got two offensive line coaches, an offensive line that hasn't played well this year at all, and really hasn't done incredibly well recruiting-wise. Florida did land Fletcher Westphal, who is going to be a huge piece of this 2024 class, both figuratively and literally, but they are going to need to come up with some other big pieces, not projects, guys that can come in and play immediately, and we haven't seen that out of these coaches. The other thing that I think a change needs to happen on for sure is special teams. I need a definitive answer on special teams. I don't need an analyst that's going to be 50 yards away from where the action is happening. I need a coach to hold accountable every single week who knows the importance of special teams, focuses on it. Honestly, if we hire an offensive coordinator, it could be Billy Napier that focuses on special teams. That could be a way for him to continually have his hand in the pot, be involved with the team, but not be wearing too many hats at the same time. I do expect that an offensive coordinator will be hired. I can imagine that that would take a little while. Florida's going to go through an extensive interview process. They're going to wait for other teams to finish up their seasons because if there's somebody they want on a staff elsewhere, they're not going to steal them away into the playoffs or into the conference championships, anything like that. But I do expect an offensive minded coach to come in to call plays. I expect that it will stay Billy Napier's system, and as it should. Billy Napier's system has found success in the SEC. Florida's offense was not bad this season. Florida's offense had a lot of ill-timed mistakes and momentum killers, and I think that is something that is absolutely fixed by getting an offensive play caller. So we will see if that happens, but I do think that it will. I expect these changes to happen in the next few weeks. Billy Napier knows he needs to win now, and he's got to make changes that put him in the best position to do so. Gator fans, he realizes it. He sees it. These changes are evidence of that. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. If you missed yesterday's video on the loss to FSU, I did get a little heated. You can check that out right here.